Hey there guys, I'm not that. Hey there guys, and welcome to FP1 and welcome back to the instant reactions from the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix in Imola. And it was a race, I'm not going to lie, I was expecting to do a Spain-esque rant at the end of this one, but really, what a finish. I'm pretty happy with that. So yeah, the first 50 odd laps, nothing really happened, but those last 10 laps, which we'll get onto in a minute, wow. I just wish we'd had that for the entire race. It would have been brilliant, but hey ho, let's start with Mercedes because, you know, we've got to talk about it. 7 Constructors World Championships in a row. That's, you know, that stat is fantastic and phenomenal at the end of the day. You've really got to take your hats off to Mercedes. They've absolutely smashed it. They've had several changes to the regulations and yet they still end up on top. So fair play to Mercedes today. Another 1-2. I think, was it their 100th win as well or something like that? I'm not too sure. I heard that stat flying around, but I feel like they got more than that, so I'm not too sure how true that is. But fair play to Mercedes. There was Bottas on pole, but had some sort of damage, having run over some debris early on. So Hamilton getting him back with the virtual safety car. So yeah, you know, another kind of textbook win for Mercedes today. But obviously that third place, again, if you haven't seen the channel before, as a big Daniel Ricciardo fan, I was pretty happy with that. But let's start with lap 1 then. And to be fair, I was expecting Hamilton just to fly away, take Bottas at the start and just run away with the race. It really was the opposite, at least in the beginning. Fell behind Verstappen, Gasly as well. Gasly had a flying start. And can we just take a minute to appreciate Gasly's helmet this weekend? Obviously with the Senna tribute helmet. I think he had tributes to Jules Bianchi and Antoine Hubert on there as well. I absolutely love that. It's my favourite design of the season. But anyway, Gasly coming up round the outside. I thought he was going to take Hamilton, but Lewis really squeezed him off. And I was like, that's on the limit of the kind of moves that you can do, even on lap 1, to be fair. But there was instant further down the pack. You had Vettel and K-Mag that collided. No one really cared about that, let's be honest. Stroll as well, ran into the back of, what was it, Ocon, I want to say. And he ended up going back to the back of the grid. It's been a bit of a sloppy 2 races from Stroll now. You've got to say, you know, he ran into his mechanics as well. Obviously, we hope that mechanic's okay towards the end of the race. So yeah, Stroll just after having such a great start to the season, has fallen behind a little bit in the last 2 races. While Perez, I know people were not very happy with me not mentioning Perez last weekend. Perez, fair play to another really good race. Sadly, strategy didn't really work. We'll get onto the safety car in a minute, but I think due to what happened with George Russell in that safety car, it kind of scuppered their strategy a little bit. But what can you do? It's Formula 1, it's racing. Hopefully there'll be another opportunity. I do want Perez to get a podium by the end of the year. Obviously, it's his last year with Racing Point. Soon to become Aston Martin next year as they take on Sebastian Vettel. And I just want Perez to get one more podium. Just one more podium. So fingers crossed we'll see that. Bad luck for him today, but still, he made up, what, 5 places from what wasn't the best of qualifying to Racing Point. So I'd still say a really good race for them today. Now, it was at this point where, you know, I think actually Lewis said before the race that it was going to be a boring one. And I was thinking, come on now, it can't be that bad. It can't be Spain levels of bad. But, well, to be fair, I felt like we were just watching lap 5 of, you know, of Bottas and Verstappen on repeat for about 40 laps. It wasn't good, and there was a point where I considered turning off, but I'm quite happy I didn't. You know, it wasn't brilliant. You know, Imola, we knew it's a tight track. It's not quite a Tilcodrome, but we do know it's going to be very difficult to overtake. But we did think, you know, with DRS maybe it could be a little bit easier. But I think we went from about lap 5 to about lap 28 without seeing an overtake on TV, and that's really not good. And as much as I do love the Imola circuit, do I want it to come back? Oh, I don't know. I think the only action we saw was as a result of that safety car. So really, they'd have to make changes to the Imola circuit for it to work. And I don't want them to make changes because I love Imola as a track. And around 1 lap, it's phenomenal. But it just isn't great for racing with these current era Formula 1 cars. 2022, maybe. You never know. I think it's going to really depend on how well those regulations work. But for now, I think, you know, Imola, you've had your time. It's time to move on. But anyway, while this Bottas Verstappen battle was going on, we had Esteban Ocon. Ocon, he retired. Shame. Moving on, you know, that obviously led to some strategy. Some interesting strategy choices. I don't know why Ferrari didn't pit Vettel and why Alfa didn't pit Raikkonen. I think Williams as well had Latifi up there as well. in that virtual safety car, that was a perfect opportunity to pit them. We saw Mercedes do that with Hamilton, and of course that meant he jumped both Bottas and Verstappen, and that's really when he just ran away with it. We knew, as I said at the beginning, Bottas had a little bit of damage. At that point, it was just easy for Hamilton just to run away with a race win after that one. Safety car, I guess, could have brought things into play a little bit, but, you know, as I said, Bottas, with that damage, it was never really gonna be on for him after that. So, yeah, I mean, Ferrari, strategy again. What can you say this time? It was when they came in and they'd left Vettel out for God knows how long on the medium tyre. It's again like a Spain incident where they're like, oh, hang on, we got 2 cars in the race. I think Ferrari just need to be renamed Leclerc Motorsport at this point, because they care about Charles, and then at one point like, oh yeah, no, we've got two cars in the race. Let's just pick this other one. And then they just left. It was a 13-second stop. And I was sat there thinking, God, this can't go any worse. And I find it funny, as soon as Leclerc had passed Vettel, that's when they released him. But, no. Ferrari just, I don't know what they're playing at anymore. They have become the new laughing stock of the grid at this point. So yeah, I was a little bit gutted to have that virtual safety car. I was like, come on, bring us a safety car. Let's get everyone tightly close back together. Maybe we can have an interesting race. But then I was like, no, we're back to, you know, boring. Even Verstappen's got past Bottas now because he made a mistake and ran wide. So it's just, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a slog for the end of this one. But then Verstappen and his I think it was a left rear tyre decided to say, nah, okay, I'll step in here. I'm going to be the saviour of the Emilia Romagna. Romagna? Is that how you pronounce it? I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. He's going to be the saviour of the race, and blew up, which was great, as it gave us an interesting podium. We knew it wasn't going to be Max Verstappen on the podium, and Albon, let's be honest, he's not getting on there. So, you know, and the safety car as well to go along with it. And at that point, again, it's strategy. What do you do? Do you pit, go for soft tyres? Do you stay on and keep track position? For me, just looking at it from an outside, from a fan's perspective, the track, it's hard to overtake. You want to keep on the tyres that you're on. Keep that track position, even if you have been on those hards for God knows how many laps. Trying to get overtakes on new tyres, it's not going to be as effective because it is just so difficult to overtake. And that's obviously what Renault did with Danny Rick, and that's obviously paid off. Leclerc and Ferrari as well had a strong finish of, I think, was it P5 or P6? I can't remember. Perez got ahead of him at the end. It did pay off, I guess, for Danny Kvyat. Can we take a minute to appreciate Danny Kvyat? Because I've been saying it all season that he's been a little bit underrated, and to be fair, the last couple of races, he's not been helping me out very much on that one. You know, but he really came into his form. So the AlphaTauri has been quick all weekend. He got into Q3 for the first time in, I think, was it 30 races or something like that? It was quite a long time since Danny's been in that Q3 session. Wasn't too far off Gasly, though he was the start of qualifying with P4. And obviously, Pierre sadly retired fairly early on into the race, having had such a brilliant start as well. I think he was ahead of, was he ahead of Ricciardo? I can't remember. He was at least P4, P5. He was around that kind of area. And sadly, he retired. But Kvyat, he stepped up. And although I'm pretty confident he won't be on the grid next year, you know, it's I was actually sat there. I was like, I'm a Danny Rick fan. But part of me wants to see Kvyat get one more podium, and it did look very close at the end, because he had a brilliant restart and some really nice overtakes as well. So, yeah, it's a shame that Kvyat probably won't be on the grid next year, but fingers crossed he can hopefully find somewhere, maybe in IndyCar or Formula E, some other seat somewhere else in the motorsport world. Now, George Russell fans, I'm sorry, I've got to talk about it. I've got to talk about the crash. Oh, George, every time. You know, there were so many close calls. He was P11, but realistically, he'd need a penalty or something to kind of get him into that top 10 finishing position. And this time, he was 10th. He was there. It was gonna happen. It was gonna happen. He was there, and under safety car. Oh, you know what? I was getting Grosjean flashbacks. I really was. And he then had a bit of a Hakkinen moment where he was just gonna sat utterly devastated. And you've got to feel for George. You know, I'm just happy that his seat has now been full-on confirmed. There was those rumours that Perez could replace him. Thank goodness they've been confirmed now, because I think had they not been, the rumour mill would be going around a little bit after that incident, because it was just a bit silly. And I hate to say it, because I like George, and I think he's a really good talent, but this was just a bit of a dumb mistake from Russell today. Under pressure, I imagine, you know, you're in the top 10. You got to feel for him, and I really do. I was expecting guys, I think Giovinazzi hit us to come over the radio, but hey, oh well, what can you? Poor George. Hopefully there'll be another opportunity, but I think this is his best one lost. So moving on then, if you're an Alex Albon fan, oh god, I really feel sorry for you. I really do. Alex, every time we get to this point in the video, I might as well have a segment dedicated to Alex Albon at this point, because he is time and time again proving us that he can be even more incompetent. And the fact was, it wasn't like he was spun by somebody else, but he spun completely on his own. And Alex, I want to support you, I really do. But we're at the point now where you've got to put Hulk in that car, and I would not be surprised to see Hulk in that car by the next race. You know, I really wouldn't. And I hate to say that, I really do hate to say that, but Alex, you know, you were so far off the pace from Max well, I mean, he was a bit closer in qualifying, but at the race, he was just gone. He lost positions at the start, so I think it was Leclerc, and then his race kind of just deteriorated from that point, really, onwards. So, Alex, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, because he's a lovely guy, but just not very good at driving that Red Bull car, unfortunately. And I'm not saying that I could do a better job, but, you know, at this point, I'm really sorry, mate, but I think we just need to be seeing these images of Alex walking out of the Red Bull motorhome with his cardboard box and little plant pot sticking out in hand, and he's been handed his P45, because it's not working there anymore. But let's end on a positive note. Daniel Ricciardo, P3, and we got a shoey. He didn't forget this time, thank goodness. And it was great to see Hamilton getting on the shoey as well. I don't think we've seen a Lewis shoey before. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty certain this was the first time Lewis was having one. He was frothing at the mouth for it at the end of it. And it was great to see everyone cheering him on. I love a good Danny Ric podium. Part of me, as I said earlier, wanted Kvyat to get on there as well, being a massive... I'm a massive Danny Ric fan, but there'll be more podiums to come, I'm sure. Kvyat is probably going to be one of his last opportunities in Formula 1. Kind of want to see him up there, but no, I'll take the Ricciardo podium. Good on him. That's obviously, he's currently lying in the championship higher than he finished his last 2 years with Red Bull. Which is mental. It shows how crazy the season is and what happens when Ferrari don't design a race car. So, yeah, good on Danny Ric. He has honestly he's rivaling Gasly for driver of the season at this point, if you ask me. Gasly's had brilliant performances, but at times has also been a little bit off the pace. I've got to put that there as well. He has had off weekends. Danny Ric, there have not been as many off weekends. I'm thinking maybe Spain and Portimao perhaps, but other than that, he's been right on it from start to the end of the season, and also second podium, absolutely deserves it. Fair play to him, absolutely smashing it right now, and that makes me very happy. And I just hope that those McLaren upgrades, they start to work for next year, and with the Mercedes engine, it all kind of comes into one beautiful package that takes that team closer to the front. But you know, that remains to be seen. But yeah, I'm happy with that. It's been a good weekend for me. We may be going into lockdown too, but at least Danny Ric has a podium. But yeah, those then were my thoughts on the Emilia Romagna. I still can't pronounce the name. The old San Marino Grand Prix. Let's just call it that. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought down in the comments below. And of course, if you are new here, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and of course, subscribe as well. We're going for 10,000 subs by the end of the year. Oh, I feel like it's a bit of a push, but I think we can do it. We can do it. So if you aren't subscribed, do consider clicking that subscribe button. Plenty more content coming out on the channel in the coming weeks. And of course, if you are unsure as to whether there was why there wasn't a comedy video yesterday, Virgin Wi-Fi decided to step in and not let me edit and things. So there will be a video coming out next week, funnily enough, on the Virgin F1 team. So stay tuned for that one. And of course, there is a very exciting special guest coming on the Post Podium podcast. Probably one of the biggest guests we've had on the channel later in the week. So make sure you're subscribed for that one. But yeah, that's all for me today then. Have a lovely rest of your weekend, and I'll see you all later.